So vaccines don't cause autism, and the DVLA did a U-turn on their driving policy on their website. All that's coming up right here. Hey guys, welcome back to the Aspie World. I'm Dan. I have Asperger's syndrome, ADHD, OCD and dyslexia. I make weekly videos on autism and Asperger's, including this news story. So if you're new around here and want to learn more, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching on Facebook, make sure to like and follow this page for more videos. Okay guys, so basically there's this huge controversy that has sparked up from something called the Anti-Vaccine Movement, where a lot of people are saying that vaccines cause autism, and one guy in Italy successfully sued the Italian government for this. And then also there's a guy called Andrew Wakefield who did a load of research on it, apparently, and then he said that there could have been possibly a link between autism and vaccines. So a bunch of people were scared crapless and then decided to not vaccinate their kids, and there's been like a measles outbreak in America, which is crazy because people have not been getting the vaccines. It's just nuts. But on the contrary to that, there's a study that's just been released which has been going for the past 10 years. So this is what it is. Danish researchers followed 6,000 cases of autism among 500,000 children in Denmark's population registry over 10 years to find out there's no link between autism and vaccines for measles, mumps and rubella. They published their findings in the journal Annals of Internal Medicine, and the research intends to quell fears of vaccines increasingly being shared on social media, because obviously I was saying about the other thing. So basically that is the consensus that loads of people said for ages, that the MMR vaccination, and there's a whole movie out about it called like Vaxxed, where they interview people where they're saying that the kids had the MMR vaccination and then they get really, really hot and start hitting their head and all kinds of stuff. And they blamed that was the cause for the developmental condition of autism, where in fact autism is said to be developmental and gene specific, so that it's hereditary, that you actually get it through genes rather than something like an environmental factor. Now this is all well and good, but there are still people in America, including Donald Trump, who've tweeted about anti-vax propaganda and rubbish about it being caused by vaccines. And this is crazy, and it's actually scary, because if you're going to say that autism is caused by vaccines and you don't start vaccinating yourself, we're going to come up with a bunch load of issues like the measles outbreak in America, and mumps and like are going to become more and more, and like rubella and things that we don't really want. And if you're going to be scared of getting the MMR vaccination, there's nothing stopping you saying other stuff like the earth is flat and that we are going to have to not take any medication ever again to solve our illnesses. So that being said, I'm glad that the Danish people have researched and published their research. That is awesome, so big kudos to them. Okay guys, so next one. Normally I have 4 or 5 stories in this show, but today I just wanted to focus on 2 stories because these 2 stories are very, very good. The MMR one is crazy, very interesting. Now the second one is about driving in the UK and being autistic. So basically, the DVLA, which is the governing body responsible for all kind of like driving needs, like you go to the DVLA to get your driving license, you get your license plates changed with the DVLA, all that kind of stuff, is done through this governing body called the DVLA. Now, they have regulations on the site. So say that you have epilepsy, they say that they stipulate on the website that you have to fill out a form and send it into them with your doctor's kind of consent and stuff like that, talking about your condition in case it impacts your ability to drive, which could impact your insurance if you get into a collision, unfortunately. Now, all this is well and good, and we understand that. An autistic individual recently in the past week went onto the DVLA website to look at rules and regulations along driving terms, and they noticed that the DVLA actually said that anybody with an autism spectrum condition must tell the DVLA that they have the condition, or else they could face up to £1,000 fine for not telling them. Now this sent shockwaves across the community. Everybody was talking about it. I published a video on it, a bunch of my friends published a video on it, everybody was blogging about it. The National Autistic Society stepped in to intervene and actually said to the DVLA, look, you can't say this, because let's put it this way, if someone's passed their test and they have autism, they have had a government DVLA registered tester testing their ability to drive, and they got the test at the end of it and they passed, which means that they're able to drive and there should be no issues. So why is the DVLA saying you need to go back and actually tell us that you have an autism spectrum condition, when in actual fact you passed having the condition, so there's no need to be informed about it, if you get what I'm saying. Now, this happened on Monday, where the National Autistic Society published a response to the DVLA saying that they needed to sort that out and it wasn't fair on the kids. who are trying to drive and they got autism and they're scared now because a lot of people were put off by this, and the autism community kind of felt like they were going to get sued or fined or, you know, some other kind of awful barbaric, you know, consequence for not actually telling the DVLA that they have an autism spectrum condition, even though they already passed their test. Also on the contrary to that, people who hadn't have passed their test were being put off because they said that they felt this could bring things in like an Aspie tax, where the government would say, oh, well, if you've got autism, you have to have more, and your insurance will cost more because there's more premium, because there's more risk of you, I don't know, having any kind of collision. You know, there's a whole host of things. And also, then they felt like by you know, reporting to the DVLA that they have autism, they felt like it was a bit too much Big Brother, and that they didn't want them knowing their personal stuff because, you know, a lot of people feel like it impacts their professional life and their personal life if they disclose that they have an autism spectrum condition, and they want to keep that private, which is absolutely fine. So a bunch of people reached out to me and said, oh, you know, I don't even want to learn to drive anymore because if this is the kind of way they're going to treat us, then I'd rather be off the record and just take like public transport or something, which is crazy, you know, because driving gives somebody independence. So anyway, that was Monday. Everybody made a big stink about it. I released a video on it, and I'll try and link it below so you guys can go check it out if you're interested in seeing that video. And everybody, like, yeah, it was just crazy. Like, everyone freaked out. But that being said, something very interesting happened then. On Tuesday afternoon, after my video had had, I don't know, maybe a couple of thousand views, a load of people started commenting on my video saying, hey, the DVLA have changed it. So they went back and they actually, what must have happened is that the DVLA had gone back in, realised the pressure from the community and the National Autistic Society were putting on them to explain themselves. They then decided that they were going to retract what they'd said, and now they stipulate that you only have to tell the DVLA if you have an autism spectrum condition if that condition impacts your ability to drive. Just like if you had, you know, you're an amputee, does that amputation impact your ability to drive? Some cases it does, some cases it doesn't, depending if you've got a modified car or not, you know, that kind of thing. So they had to explain that to them. So now the DVLA have gone back on what they were saying, and in actual fact, the DVLA stated, first of all, that the statement had been up for like 7 years and nobody had said anything about it, and it had been that way forever, even though nobody had seen it, and the change had happened almost overnight, and they didn't consult with anybody first. So then they flipped it back, and now it's just that you only have to tell them if you have a condition that does impact your ability to drive. Now, this is a victory win for us in the autism community to say that, you know, by campaigning and by voicing your opinion, you do get heard, and changes can be made, which is amazing. But this shouldn't allow us to just passively let things like legislation like that impact the lives of people who have a condition. So we should always be trying to validate when the government try and slide in new regulations or try to suppress something. Things like this are going to crop up from time to time, but it's time that we kind of come together when it happens and campaign for it, because campaign is definitely the only way to get over these things and overcome issues and boundaries and all kinds of horrible things that the government may try and do. But I'm not like a crazy person. I'm just saying that, you know, these things can happen, and the government aren't always right in the case of our current government. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Again, subscribe if you're new around here and you want to see more of these type of videos. And the other episodes from this series of autism news will be around here somewhere, so make sure to check them out as well. Okay, guys, peace.